something I really don't understand, and this segment basically is making me understand even less. The segment with Thomas Roberts from MSNBC is going to have a black state representative in his interview. Now, specifically, this is going to talk about the divide amongst the different age groups amongst the black community. Now, what I don't understand is why there is such a divide. Now, one of the possible reasons could be that the younger black voters are more informed and look at the history of the two candidates, but then when explained what's happened to black youth in the community, i.e. the incarceration rates, the level of unemployment, etc., and the reasons why, which primarily were the Clinton initiatives, i.e. the crime bill and the welfare reform bills that President Clinton signed and that Hillary Clinton pushed, why the older black voters basically seek to have amnesia when these two things are brought up. But when Bernie Sanders, who basically and truthfully, did do work in the civil rights movement and has pushed programs that in fact would help everybody, which would include black people, and was against the has started to work against the unfair incarceration rates, and specifically has addressed them, including information that can be found on his website. Why older people just, if not anything, hold their fire until the last second in order to make their decisions. Now, I'm going to play this clip, and again, you're going to see a state representative that basically is dismissing the younger voters, who are probably much more informed as to the history of these two candidates, and basically is saying that they don't know what they're doing.
Welcome back, everybody. Coming up at the top of the next hour, Hillary Clinton kicks off her Get Out the Vote event. That'll be in Chicago, Illinois, and she's going to be joined by Geneva Reed Vial. That is the mom of Sandra Bland, and she was the young woman found dead of an apparent suicide in a Texas jail cell after a routine traffic stop. It's part of Hillary Clinton's push to appeal to black voters, with 10 days to go before the Democratic primary here in South Carolina, a state where African Americans make up the majority of the Democratic base. Now, Secretary Clinton maintains a lead in the support among black voters nationally and in South Carolina. Joining me here in Columbia is State Senator Darrell Jackson. The senator has endorsed Secretary Clinton. Sir, as we look at some of the numbers and we get a little macro from the meta level here, the most recent poll of voters in South Carolina from CNN ORC finding among black voters, Clinton leads 65 to 28%. The Reuters Ipsos poll looked at the race age, or the age of folks, and the youth vote, 18 to 29 years old, the margin shrinking to 46% and then 33% for Sanders. Why do you find, or the characterization, that young folks are magnetized toward Bernie Sanders?
Well, first of all, I think Secretary Clinton has a great organization in South Carolina, lots of friends in South Carolina. I think young people, particularly those that are getting involved in the first time, are very idealistic. And I think that they're more attractive to things they hear without having the ability to perhaps vet them as much as some who've been around for a while.
So you're saying the voters in South Carolina, these folks, they need to be more pragmatic?
Well, I think when they hear things like $15 an hour minimum wage, free college tuition, those are great things, and it sounds great. But the question is, how do you make it happen, or who is best to make that happen? And I think once they see that, then it changes for Secretary Clinton, I think.
Now, that's an interesting ideology, because in 2008, you could have applied those same parameters to Barack Obama's candidacy. And obviously, Barack Obama was able to win the election, as you know, he's a two-term president. But this gentleman is talking about being pragmatic. If you were pragmatic back in 2008, you were for Hillary Clinton. If you were idealistic, you were for Barack Obama. Well, young people tend to be more idealistic than being pragmatic, and they see what can be, not what has been. Hillary Clinton represents the establishment. I don't care what anybody says, and when she speaks about what's been going on and her ability to work on things that have been going on, but she has no vision, and she definitely doesn't have a progressive vision, and that's basically what we need, both as black people and as people, period, in order to be able to go forward. Now, this gentleman just seems to me that he basically has his bread buttered, and he's basically looking to protect his position, and has had favors called in order to basically support Hillary Clinton. Now, again, he's older, and he's basically looking to, again, protect his position rather than looking to the future, and specifically looking to the future for young people. There is nothing wrong with $15 an hour. That's a living wage. All right, $15 an hour basically just allows you to survive. It doesn't really even allow you to prosper. It just allows you to survive. Hillary Clinton basically is not really supporting a $15 an hour wage. You talk about free college. Well, guess what? Maybe possibly not so much free, but California back in the day basically had very, very, very low tuition rates that an everyday person could afford for its state universities. And we're talking about UCLA, etc. Now, again, Stanford was always expensive, and USC is a private university, but the basic state universities were very, very affordable. And that's without going into tons of debt in order to finance your own education. Well, that's what basically Bernie's talking about. He's saying free, but even if he can't deliver on 100% free, if he can get it down to affordable, and I mean really affordable for the everyday person, that's a win. Whereas Clinton basically, is not even aiming that high. You can't get anywhere if you're aiming in the middle, because aiming in the middle pulls you back down beneath the middle. But if you aim to the top and have to come back somewhat, you're still way ahead. But anyway, let's let this gentleman continue with his rhetoric as far as his support of Hillary Clinton.
When we look at the divide a little bit more, young voters beyond South Carolina, our recent NBC News SurveyMonkey poll looked at the millennial Democrat voter nationwide, and while Clinton leads Sanders 64 to 25% among African Americans and among white voters under the age of 30, Sanders leads overwhelmingly 75 to 22%. So does that concern you when you think of you've thrown your weight behind Hillary Clinton? You want to see her go on to secure the nomination. Sure. Do you think she's viable to go all the way against the candidate Sanders?
I think she is, because one thing, which is good, Sanders energizing a base of people who perhaps have not been involved. I think and I think she will win the nomination, I think these voters will be for Secretary Clinton. The good thing is that it's helpful for the Democratic Party and very helpful for the democratic process.
We know that Hillary Clinton has received the support of the Congressional Black Caucus PAC. She's also appearing with Sandra Bland's mother, as we were talking about, coming up in Chicago. However, we have the daughter of Eric Gardner endorsing Bernie Sanders. Now, the mom of Eric Gardner has gone for Secretary Clinton. But this is the campaign ad where the daughter, Erica Gardner, appears. Take a look.
Martin Luther King died for this. Malcolm X died for this. And who were they? They was protesters. I'm behind anyone who's going to listen and speak up for us. And I think we need to believe in a leader like Bernie Sanders.
To believe even Bernie Sanders. And we know that the Clintons both combined, the former president and Secretary Clinton, have a combined service record that has been devoted to civil rights, to minority rights, yet...
Now, that's not true. I mean, if they were devoted for civil rights, how the hell does Bill Clinton sign a crime bill that causes the black community to be afflicted with differences in sentencing for the same drug, which is cocaine, and also, and it's been proven, there's no doubt about it, that for the same crime, the black community gets much harsher jail sentences. If the Clintons were so much in favor of civil rights for black people, why weren't they fighting throughout the years to get those changes that Bill Clinton in fact instituted? So, that's, the Clintons are doing it with smoke and mirrors, and they're calling in favors that are owed them by people that they more than likely helped to get elected. But as far as the actual substance, the Clintons don't really have any. And I don't understand why all these so-called black leaders are jumping up and down talking about all the things that the Clintons have done. The only thing that the Clintons have done is help them to individually advance their careers. But as far as a community or group, an effort to actually affect the black community, they've done jack shit.
We hear from young folks that they think that they trust Bernie Sanders more.
Well, I think you're hearing from some young people. There are many young people who trust Secretary Clinton.
That's not true. Based on the numbers, the majority of the young people trust Bernie Sanders versus Hillary Clinton, and they just showed a graphic with the numbers. So, he's out here spewing bullshit.
Also, and I think you will see that on the 27th. I think when the votes are counted in South Carolina, she will win, and I think that she would get a broad base of people from all segments. Now, it is exciting that young people are backing Bernie Sanders. It is even more exciting that they're involved in the process.
Right.
I think when it's all said and done, these voters will eventually be for Secretary Clinton.
Now, he just contradicted himself because he just got through saying that many young people were backing Hillary Clinton. And just now, you heard it for yourself. He said that you're going to see that young people went with Bernie Sanders, while the older people are going for Hillary Clinton.
Okay, and what do you hear, though, about anybody that's interested in Bernie or Hillary, but also interested in a Donald Trump? Are you finding any voters like that here that typically lean democratically or independently, but are attracted to a Trump message?
I think so. There are people who just like Trump's rebellious spirit, and they like the fact that he takes on the establishment. But at the end of the day, I am totally convinced that South Carolina would be for Secretary Clinton. Okay.
South Carolina State Senator Daryl Jackson. Sir, thanks for being here. I appreciate your time. And as we
see, and they're projecting a mixed message. People need to go back and look at Hillary Clinton's history. And her history doesn't match her rhetoric. And Bernie Sanders, when you go back and look at his history, and yes, he did vote for the 1994 crime bill, which has done tremendous damage to the black community. But he also, when voting for that crime bill, got on the floor and basically stated the damage that it was going to do to the black community, and that he was not for that portion of the bill. But because of the other two factors, the assault weapons ban and the aid to women affected by violent crime, he basically chose to support the bill because of those two positive things.